Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mass LOMAP webinar for busy lawyers. I am Susan Letterman White. I'm a practice advisor here at Mass LOMAP. Delighted to have you here today. And before I tell you a little bit about our speaker, I just want to let you know that we do these monthly webinars, usually on a Wednesday from noon to 1. We love these because our clients love them as well. And we actually will always post these to our website afterwards. You can always review and pull things down. I have the pleasure today of introducing Dina Eisenberg, who's going to talk to you about outsourcing your overflow work. Dina is a lawyer and the CEO of OutsourceEasier.com, where she helps lawyers create outsourcing and onboarding strategies. Now, as you are listening to Dina, if you have any questions, what you can do is you can put them right into your chat box. Just type in your question there, and at the end of Dina's presentation, I'm going to relay all the questions to her and she will answer them. So sit back and enjoy the next 20 to 30 minutes where Dina brings you some great tips that you'll be able to put into practice right away. So Dina, take it away.
Thank you, Susan. I'm just going to, there we go, add that there so we can focus and get going. You know, running a law practice is hard. We're trying to do all kinds of things together, serve your clients well, stay on top of billing and your CLEs, and maybe even you're leading a team. And there never seems to be enough time to do everything. You want to get involved with the bar, and of course you want to spend more time with your family and maybe travel, and there just isn't time to do everything because there's so much to do and there's only you.
Dina,
There you go. Yeah?
we're having a little trouble hearing you.
Yeah, I just noticed that for whatever reason I was muted. And I'm having a little trouble moving the slide with the share. Oh, there we go. Perfect. All right, so let's just go again. Running a law practice is hard work, and you're trying to do all kinds of things like acquire new clients, serve the ones that you have very well, stay on top of your billing and your CLEs, and maybe you're even leading a team. I know that there just never seems to be enough time to do everything, and you want to get involved with the bar, and of course you want to spend more time with your family and maybe even travel, see the world. There just isn't time because there's so much to do and there's only you. You think about getting help, but then you think, you know, it takes too long. I'll have to explain to somebody. There's going to be a mistake. And, you know, who has the money to delegate? It's so much easier to do it yourself. Those are the things that I hear my clients tell me about outsourcing and delegation. And, you know, maybe you think that too. There's a lot of hesitation and misinformation. So today we're going to talk about what is outsourcing, the hidden benefits to outsourcing, the types of things that lawyers outsource, the different marketplaces and where you can find talent, and the 5 steps to outsource effectively and your first projects. You're going to walk away knowing how to delegate, select the right marketplace for you, communicate clearly, give feedback, and you'll have a list of projects to start delegating. You'll be able to truly leverage your time and focus on what matters most. Now, just a little bit about me, because when I go to these things, I'm always like, why should I listen to this person? So you should know that I was a prosecutor. I'm now an award-winning consultant and CEO of OutsourceEasier.com. I have 20 years experience running training and consulting firms, 10 years, a decade of experience of outsourcing online. I'm a frequent contributor at Attorney at Work, an ABA published author. In fact, today my article was published in Law Practice Today. A podcast guest on wonderful podcasts like The Resilient Lawyer, Gen Y, and the ABA Brown Bag series. I come to this work from a personal perspective. My husband was running $1 million business. and I was running a 6-figure business when he sneezed. That sneeze ruptured 2 discs in his back and caused him to have emergency surgery. He came through the surgery just fine, but his business died. Within a week, he lost all of his clients, and no one would take him back because he was unreliable. And I understood at that moment that I knew lots of solo and small firm lawyers who didn't have a plan for outsourcing. They didn't have a strategy. In fact, they weren't outsourcing at all. And so it really became my mission to help lawyers understand the power that they can get from delegation and to embrace that. So can I just tell you something? I get excited about this topic, so sometimes I might, forget to advance the slides. I'm going to try to focus on doing that. If I talk a little bit fast, please somebody raise your hand and say slow down, because I really want some wonderful things to come out of this presentation for you, and I get excited. So what is delegation and outsourcing? What comes to mind for you? Usually people think negative thoughts like, jobs going to another country, or it's bad and you get a bad outcome. But I define outsourcing as something very positive and useful. Outsourcing is simply asking somebody else outside of your law firm to help you achieve a goal. That's all it is. Delegation is telling that person how to help you specifically and setting them up for success. Not too complicated. Now, we tend to think of delegation as something that the boss does, but in small firms, and particularly today, you'll see delegation happen between peers. What are the benefits of delegation? Work is so fast-paced these days that things seem to need to happen like yesterday, and everybody's got an entirely full plate. There are times when you simply can't get it all done, and that's when it's really important to be skillful at delegating, because it makes all the difference. Now, delegation allows you to do lots of great things like these. You get more work done. You avoid context switching. And for those who don't know, context switching is your brain on multitasking. Scientists tell us that while we may think it will take us 5 minutes, it's going to be 5 minutes to do this thing and I'll get right back to work. In real life, it's 20 minutes because your brain has to switch itself from whatever you were doing to the new thing that you're doing and then back. And that actually wastes about 2 hours a day. That's 2 hours of billable time. And it also causes brain damage. So when you're multitasking, you're really doing yourself a huge disservice. Delegation allows you to focus on your core capabilities, which is, practicing law. You learn better ways of doing things. Now, you have your way of doing whatever, but somebody else who can come along and help you is going to give you new ideas, and you'll get expert advice, not only just get the task done. Delegating reduces your stress. You get better outcomes and results. You're much more consistent with the things that you're doing, and it boosts your confidence. Delegation gives you an opportunity to identify strengths in your team and develop them. So if you have an associate, using delegation is a great way to see their strengths and put them to good use. And the more that you delegate to your team, the less that you have to do, which is a good thing. So let me just tell you about Eve. Now, she ran a true solo, and we had been working together for months to grow her practice, and she was very reluctant to add any team members because, like most solos, she didn't want to spend the money, and she didn't want to be a manager. She wasn't interested in that. But her outsourcing strategy really included adding a bookkeeper because she needed to do that help work. She wasn't her favorite thing to do, and often she would just let it go until there was a problem. So we really wanted to get her an bookkeeper to outsource things. And it took her a couple of months to make the decision, which is fine. People have to come to it in their own time. But when she finally decided and committed to hiring someone, she reaped the benefits. Her monthly income went from 5 figures to 6 figures in a couple of months. And that's because her bookkeeper got into those books and found hidden revenues for her. She found some overpayments that she'd been making from a subscription product she bought and she just forgot about. And she was looking through the bills and she found that one of the vendors she'd been using had been serially overcharging her. So because she stopped doing the books herself and she turned to a team member, she was able to recoup a lot of those revenues and know that going forward, she wouldn't be losing money. Now, there's some hidden benefits to delegating, right? It demonstrates your confidence. When you delegate to other people, you're actually telling somebody that you have a high emotional intelligence, that you recognize the value of your time, and you see the value in other people. It showcases your commitment to clients when you delegate, because what you're really saying to the client is, I want to be so efficient and not have to, charge you a higher fee. And delegation is good for your personal development, because the skills that you develop as you're learning to delegate are some of the same skills that you're going to be using with clients. So eventually you become a much better lawyer. What do lawyers outsource? Everything is the short answer. I did an informal survey last year, and these are just a few of the tasks that people said they love taking off their plate and they're very willing to pay for. So legal research, brief writing, court appearances with appear.me, invoicing, collections, and virtual receptionist with smith.ai. If you're looking for legal research, you should check out lawclerk.legal. I believe that every lawyer needs to have an essential team to smoothly run your firm. There are 5 teammates in particular that you want to count on, and those are your writer, your financial team, which includes a bookkeeper, an accountant, and a wealth advisor, your virtual assistant, a lawyer, because yes, lawyers do need lawyers, and an IT person. Now, sure, you can learn to do most of the stuff yourself, but it takes time away from your real work, which is practicing law. And honestly, learning to do it yourself means that the quality of the work that you produce won't be as high as someone who does that all the time. We're trained in law school to accept overwork as normal and to see asking for help as a sign of weakness. And sadly, these attitudes have made the profession very toxic. 28% of lawyers say that they live with depression. 21% of lawyers say they suffer from anxiety. And for me, outsourcing and delegating is really a form of self-care, right? You need to do the delegate so that you can take care of your most important assets, which are you, your mind, your creativity, and your energy. Lawyers are also outsourcing at home, which I just love. You can use companies like Thumbtack, Instacart, TaskRabbit to help you with errands around the house, housekeeping, laundry, gift shopping, grocery shopping, and lawn care. Now, it took me a real long time to accept the idea that I needed help at home and to hire a housekeeper, but it really was one of the best investments in myself and in my business that I ever made. It's so wonderful to come home at the end of the day and see a clean house and know that you can relax without having to do those chores yourself. Where are you going to find talent? Well, we are at probably the best time ever to be a solo or small law firm owner. So many resources are available to us online. And just like there are different law practices, there are different kind of outsourcing marketplaces. Just like we have the dollar store, Macy's, and Saks, which all do the same thing. They sell us stuff, but each one has its own different and unique vibe. And the same thing is true of the outsourcing marketplaces, like Upwork, which is the most popular one, TopTill, which is a site where you can find website developers and app developers, and Zirtual. Now, you might have heard of Fiverr, where you could get projects done for $5. And I used to love that platform, but I no longer recommend it. They actually have gotten about $60 million in VC investment, and over the course of 10 years, that's significantly changed the way they do business. They used to be a godsend for little guys like us because you truly could hop on the platform and get high quality workers to do fairly expensive tasks really inexpensively. So I had a video made and it cost me less than $500. Now these days the platform has changed and you're less likely to get a really highly qualified provider. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm not recommending Fiverr anymore. I do recommend Upwork though. It's probably the best platform at the moment for people who are using outsourcing in a minimal way. So I definitely recommend that. Let me just walk you through the different kinds of platforms. So I would say the Upwork and Zirtual are kind of like the dollar store. You're gonna get what you need, but it's not gonna be exactly the best quality, but it'll still work for you. And it just means that you're gonna have to manage the process a little bit more. Then there's an independent virtual assistant, and that person is a small business owner just like you and me, and they're devoted to helping you run your business. VAs have gone from being very general, so I'll do everything for you, to being very specific these days. So you can find a VA who can set your appointments, manage your calendar, make an ebook for you. And I would say this is the Macy's option. You get a higher level of personal service with quality providers. Now, when you're looking at the last one, the Saks, that's a managed care account. And what that really means is that they assign you an account manager who will assess your needs and then go ahead and pick out your team members. And that person is going to be the go-between between you and your team sharing your needs and desires. It's a little bit more expensive. In fact, it's the most expensive option. But if you're the kind of person who doesn't necessarily want to be involved and you want to be hands-off, it's going to work best for you because it's a customized option. Now, what's the right platform for you? If you're just starting out and you want to get legal work done, I really recommend that you check out lawclerk.legal or smith.ai or OT Paralegal Services, because they're really going to be able to provide you with quality, targeted services. So Law Clerk has qualified lawyers who kind of work for you as paralegals under your direction, and you set the rate, you select who you want to work with. And so it's a great way to either expand your capacity because you're busy, or test out going into a new practice area without having to, hire somebody else and increase your overhead. Smith.ai offers virtual assistants who can answer your phone and screen for potential clients. And the great thing about that is you provide them the script and they'll work from your script. And you can actually also use them at the back end of your practice, working with non-paying clients. So they're going to do the follow-up calls for you so that you don't have to be involved with that and you can spend your time doing something else. And now if you're thinking, oh my gosh, is this going to be expensive? You really don't have to worry about the money because you have control over your investment. As long as the talent that you hire has a lower hourly rate than yours and performs well, it's really worthwhile to make the investment to go ahead and delegate. And one of the things you can think about is how great it's going to be to have somebody else take care of those past due notices without you having to make the calls yourself. Now, of course, things can go wrong. I know as lawyers, we never want that to happen, but things can go wrong. And guess what? You make mistakes too. So there's no guarantee that if you were doing this project yourself, there wouldn't be any mistakes. And one way to avoid those mistakes is by taking time to go through each step with a beginner's mind. So you've been doing this project for a long time, and in your mind, the steps kind of blur together and you get it done. But when you want to delegate to someone else, you have to put on your beginner's mind cap and think about what are the skills and tools this person needs to do a good job for you. The more specific you are and the more detailed information you can provide to that person, the fewer mistakes you're going to have. So right about now, I think we're ready to look at the 5 steps to delegating. Delegation is easy, but it's not necessarily simple. It really helps to have someone else show you the ropes, like me. There's a process to consider. Here are the 5 steps. And I'm going to name them all, and then we'll walk through them. First, you want to pick a project and set a goal. You want to write your project legend. You want to do the pre-go, and that's a special term of art that I created that talks about what happens before you actually reach out to someone. Select your helper, delegate, and debrief. Now, pick a project. In a little bit, I'm going to talk to you about how to select your project. But for right now, I want to talk to you about first projects. It's really a good idea to give yourself and the person that you're delegating to a break when you first start out, because you're learning both the process of delegating and how to work with this person. Choose low risk projects. And a low risk project is something that has value, but it's repetitive and time consuming. Those are the kinds of things you want to take off your plate. Make sure you have an end goal so you know when the project is successfully completed. Now let's talk about a project legend, which really offers context and authority. So anybody who's been in the corporate arena knows about SOPs, standard operating procedures. Your project legend is your SOP on steroids. You are telling the story of the project. And the reason you're telling it as a story is because as humans, we are hardwired for connection through story. For, oh my gosh, centuries, we've learned how to do things by way of story. And so if you create a project story, you're going to be capturing the attention of the person you're delegating to, and you'll be able to easily convey information about what you want them to do, why they should do it, how they should do it, when. Writing it out helps you to stay organized and gives your talent the information they need without coming back to you for questions. Over time, when you create more and more project legends, you're actually creating your operations manual that you can now share with new teammates, the folks that you're delegating to, so they can get up to speed pretty quickly. People feel most satisfied at work when they are valued and they have control over their environment. You have to give context to the person who's helping you do whatever your goal is and help them understand how their work specifically fits into the bigger picture, the scheme of things. Otherwise, they're going to be distracted and wondering why they're doing the task. So you want to make sure you give them the context, and you're going to be including that in the project legend. You also want to give your helper, for lack of a better word, authority, the ability to make decisions without you, which shows that you actually trust them, and it helps them feel more in control. And that's one of the things that brings satisfaction. Adults who feel more in control of their work environment have more satisfaction at work. So, quick story. I got married in a historic Navy commander's Victorian mansion that happened to be haunted. I wanted the whole thing to feel, very moody and romantic, and so I wanted candlelight. I went to my florist and I told her that I wanted the room filled with red roses and candles, and that I wanted everyone to feel, just beautiful and special and romantic, and that's what I thought the candlelight would do. And so I gave her my end goal, and I gave her authority to make decisions along the way. I showed up the night of my wedding, and honestly, I was overwhelmed. It was so beautiful. The place was glowing with candlelight. When I entered the room, everything looked beautiful, and the mood was romantic just the way I wanted. But there wasn't a single candle in the building. What happened? Well, it turns out that you can't have an open flame in a historic building. They don't allow that. But because my florist understood the context and I had given her authority, she was able to give me exactly what I wanted without stressing me out about the problem that happened in between. Same thing that you're going to be able to do, your helpers are going to be able to do for you when you give them context and authority. So let's talk about the pre-go. If you are somebody who absolutely positively must have it right, then you want to do the pre-go phase. So let me ask you, when you go on a road trip, you don't just hop in the car and go, do you? Nope. You plan the route. You decide on the snacks, you get gas, you decide where you're going to stop to check out a tourist trap. Before you delegate, you should do pre-go tasks to ensure you get exactly what you want. Pre-go enables you to set the expectations and priorities, as well as set the other person up for success by gathering all the information they need or the tools in advance. So, for instance, say you're asking a social media manager to take over posting your social media for your law firm. That manager needs to know what are the outlets that you post on, where to find the content that you want them to post, Do they need to have approval from you for posting? And what's the process to do that? And what's the frequency for posting so they can do a good job? And in fact, if you want to hire a social media manager, you'll find a hiring checklist on my site at outsourceeasier.com. So you want to select your talent. Just like you want to use a hammer when you're hammering a nail, you want to pick the right person to help you. So you want someone who possesses both the skills and the attitudes to do the job right. Now, if you're a huge attention to detail kind of person, picking someone with a more, how shall we say, laissez-faire attitude about precision is a bad idea. It's just going to frustrate you, make them mad, and damage your relationship. But conversely, you don't want a clone of yourself, because part of the benefits of delegating is having someone with a different point of view bring new ideas and ways of doing things to your project so you actually learn something. Now, here's the place where I think most people get into a little trouble. Managing the project. Do not dump and dash. Right? You're looking to use this project to build a relationship with the other person. And how would you feel if someone came along and just dumped stuff on your desk and walked away? So you want to manage the project. You want to explain what it is, share your information about deadlines and how you want that person to stay in touch with you throughout the project. This is the beginning of the relationship, but it's not the end. And you want to stay engaged in the project, but not involved. So that's the real difference, right? Engaged, but not involved. And then you're going to close out the project. So if you're on an online platform, that means doing the financial part. You're paying, you're assessing the work, you're providing feedback and giving testimonials. And I'll just note as an aside, if you're on an online platform and you're paying, you're usually not, I don't recommend that my clients do an hourly rate. I recommend that you negotiate a flat rate and that you use milestone payments. So someone has to achieve something and you have to check it before you're paying them. That way you have a lot more control over the outcome of the project. But make sure you actually do give a recommendation or a testimonial or some sort of comment if you're using an online platform like Upwork, because other people are sort of depending on your feedback on whether or not the provider is worth using or not. You also want to make sure that you're debriefing the project to make sure that you got what you wanted and to see how much money and time you saved by actually delegating it. That's a real motivator. When you recognize that you could have spent 5 hours on something, but you delegated it and you got those 5 hours back and they're billable to you, and you got the project back and it's much, much better than you could have done yourself, you're going to want to do more delegating. I like to joke that when you have a great delegation experience, kind of like eating potato chips. When you have one, you really want to have more. So avoiding micromanaging. As lawyers, we like to be right. And we like to have things done perfectly. Yet we cannot do it all. We need help. And even you will make mistakes from time to time. Whether you delegate online or in real life, please, please don't micromanage. It doesn't improve the result you're going to get. And it actually just signals to other people that you don't trust yourself or you don't trust others very much. Now, sometimes we don't see ourselves as a micromanager, so let me just give you some clues. You might be a micromanager if you have trouble asking for help, you check progress a lot, you believe that your way is the best way of doing things, and you don't take advice or suggestions easily. If you hear yourself in that description, you might want to work on improving your emotional intelligence skills. Just a little thought. Failing to create systems and process or automate puts you and your family at risk. And I know that's not something that you want to do. All right, your first project. Woohoo! I'm very excited about this. I hope you are too. So your first projects are kind of low risk, right? We talked about the fact that you want them to have value because you're not just doing it for nothing. So they have to have some value to your practice. But you also don't want them to be the kind of time-consuming projects that you really shouldn't be doing. Stuff that doesn't require your lawyer brain or your knowledge or expertise or your personal attention. Those are great things to outsource. So the first thing I want you to think about, and a project we're going to think about, is a social media project. But before that, I want to teach you how to create your own list of projects to delegate. And this is what I call the damn it list. Now, why do I call it damn it? Because damn it, these are the things you have to get done. So if you will, take out a piece of paper and fold it into 4 quarters. Great. So here's what you're going to do. On the top left-hand side of the piece of paper, write the word daily. On the right-hand side top, you're going to write weekly. Bottom left, you're going to write monthly. Bottom right, you're going to write quarterly. Just give you a second to do that. All right, ready for the race? I'm going to give you about 20 seconds, and it's okay if you don't complete it, but at least try to do some pieces of this. 20 seconds for each quarter. Write down everything that you do on a daily basis, everything that you do on a weekly basis, everything that you do on a monthly basis, and then everything you do on a quarterly basis. Go. So you're writing down everything that you do on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and a quarterly basis. As you're writing, I'll note to you that what you're going to notice is that your days and weeks are just slammed, totally full, jammed. But that on a monthly and a quarterly basis, there probably isn't a lot going on, right? So now you've created a list of what you're doing on a regular basis. You can start to look at the things that you don't want to do anymore. So circle those things that you don't like to do, that don't require your lawyer brain, that don't require your personal attention, that you do inconsistently. Those are the things that you can begin to delegate. Now, when you have those circles, then you're going to start looking at priority. Which impact from if you give them now, get more you can now spend that's billable, or you're going to generate more revenue because you've given this project away. Do the ones that have the highest impact first. Social media. I don't know if you've seen the 4th annual social media survey done by Attorney at Work. If you haven't, you should try to look for it. You can find an article that discusses it on my blog at outsourceeasier.com. Solo and small firms are getting great results with social media, which is the good news. About 71% of solos say that social media is so really important to them for attracting clients. That's huge. But over 80% do the social media work themselves. They don't hire it out. They don't delegate. That's the bad news. They lose about 5 billable hours a week, and if the average billable is around $250, it's like about $1,300 a week gone. And over the course of a year, that's $66,000 lost, because as a solo, you won't delegate the social media work. So you really want to think about hiring a social media manager. That person is going to help you tremendously. You'll grow your social media presence and attract more leads when you hire a social media manager. Now, it's not hard, but there is a process to it that I go through with my clients. You want to make sure that you have a social media strategy in mind. What is your goal with social media? What are you going to do to make it easier to interview the talent and decide what results you're getting when you have a clear goal? So is your goal to increase your visibility, to increase your authority, to attract new clients? You need to know what the goal is. You need to know your data. Now, before you hire your social media manager, you need to have some information in place so that you know. So you want to know, where are people finding you on social media? What platforms are your clients hanging out on? Where do they expect to see you? So for instance, I had a fairly modest Instagram presence because honestly, I don't understand Instagram. But after I started getting clients there, I paid more attention to it, and I was able to find someone to help me grow my presence there. So you want to figure out, where are my people coming from and where am I going to get the best return if I focus on that platform. Then you want to sort of decide what platform. I recommend that clients use an independent social media manager when they're new to outsourcing. Spend the time to outline your specific needs and then find a VA to help you. An independent social media manager is going to cost you roughly between $450 and $1,200 a month. But when you think about that in comparison to spending the $1,250 a week when you do it yourself, you see it's a bargain to hire the social media manager because that person is going to be consistently promoting and producing content for you. Well, you might not be as consistent in doing it. And for those who have a little bit of a smaller budget, you can find help on Upwork, and the person is going to be charging you somewhere between $45 to $100 an hour, and you're actually going to ask them to put together a package for you so that you're paying a fixed price instead of the hourly rate to get the work done. Here's the other project that I think is pretty simple and that you can do yourself in terms of getting out there and starting to delegate and getting the benefit of some social media bounce. You want to stay top of mind with clients. And so one of the easiest ways to do that, so simple, is to update your social media headers. So if you're like, what is the header? The header is that blue box above your LinkedIn profile. It's the cover on your Facebook page. It's the cover on your Twitter account. This is all great real estate, and you can use it to share firm news, to give season's greetings, or to share offers that your firm is having. So to delegate your headers, you have to create a project legend. That's the story of your project. And you want to look for a graphic artist, perhaps on Upwork, who specializes in social media headers. Be sure to provide your logo and any written copy that you want included. Check the spelling because virtual assistants are not responsible for misspellings. So you want to make sure you're on top of that. Also, if you're not providing the actual visuals or the photographs for the virtual assistant to use, you want to caution them that they are only to use licensed pictures. That's pictures that they already have a license for, because you're responsible for what goes up. And if they use an unlicensed photo, I've heard of folks getting a little bill from Getty Images saying, hey, you used our work without having a license, and I don't want that to happen to you. So really make sure that you ask the VA either to use the images that you give them or to make sure they're only using licensed images. And just to be on the safe side, be sure to research the current header sizes. So Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and Instagram all change the sizes of their headers pretty regularly. So you want to make sure that you're providing the most up-to-date information to the VA so you can give you exactly what you want. One thing that I look for is a virtual assistant who offers unlimited revisions so that you'll be able to adjust it until you get exactly what you want. So those are the two projects that I want you to start out thinking about, outsourcing all your social media to a social media manager and starting with creating social media headers to give you a heads up. A few thoughts as we conclude. Learn to outsource because it leverages your time so you can focus on what you love, which is helping people solve their legal problems. Delegate the things that you don't like to do, that you have to learn to do, or you don't do regularly to lighten your workload and get more consistent results in your law practice. Delegation saves you effort. Learn to outsource for your personal development. The same skills that you use to delegate, like communication and social awareness, which just means that you recognize what the other person needs, are the same skills you're going to be using with your clients. So when you get better at delegating, you get better at lawyering. Learn to delegate for your family. They did not ask to go into business with you. They just want to love and support you. So you have an obligation to create systems and to outsource in a way that safeguards your family in case something goes wrong and you can't work. I think it's really critical for you to have the peace of mind of knowing that you have a team behind you who can back you up when you have an overload of work or when you have a great idea and you want to get that accomplished. Thank you so much, Susan and Rachel, for allowing me to present to the group. If anyone would like to get in touch, I'm happy to speak with you. You can either join my free Facebook group which is the Intentional Lawyers Club, or you can reach out to me by email at dina@outsourceeasier.com. Any questions?
So Dina, thank you so much for a fantastic presentation. We do have a couple of questions for you.
Oh, good.
Yeah. The first question is, if you use only one email address for your business, for example, your name at yourlawfirm.com, and you want to delegate the task of checking or responding to emails to somebody else, what would you recommend doing? Creating a new email account and having emails routed to this new account, or something else?
Okay, great question. So we're beginning to explore this actually for my subscription platform. If you use Gmail, you have the ability to add a user and give them access to your email as well as give them a separate email address. So if you're on Gmail, it's very possible to have someone manage your account without having to give them complete access. Another way to do the same thing is to use a password manager, like Dashlane is one that I use, and there's also 1Pass and a couple of others. And what they allow you to do is to give access without giving away the login. And so you can give someone access to the back end of your email without having to give them the credentials. And what's nice about using the password managers is that you can just as easily revoke access if you need to.
And I just want to add a couple of things in there. Always be careful from an ethical standpoint that you're not sharing information and then inadvertently kind of giving up confidential information when you don't intend to. Of course, you want to be careful that you're not inadvertently forming a lawyer-client relationship when that was never an intent. So be really careful who you're giving that power to, and actually the parameters around which you delegate it. We've got one more question that was actually my question as well. Do you have a list of all the companies that you named, the resources that you named, and maybe there's some place they can go on your website, or you could send us something and we'll put it up on our website, but we're wondering where we might find that information.
Oh, I'm happy to provide you with a list of all the different resources and a few extras that I mentioned during the presentation. I will put that on my website, and it'll be outsourceeasier.com LOMAP, and you'll be able to go there and download it. I'll have that available by the end of today.
Wow, thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in and remind you that next month on July 17th at noon, Donna Knox is going to come and talk to us about promoting yourself and your brand with effective copy and content. Until then, thank you again, Dina, and everybody else. Have a great afternoon. Hope to see you in about a month. Bye-bye.
Thank you.